He wed an alien bride he had never seen. And what happened that first night stunned him. Captain Jake Miller stood at the viewport of his small transport ship, watching the blue-green planet grow larger. His hands shook as he held the marriage contract that would change his life forever. The Zephyrian Empire had offered peace to humanity, but only through an old custom they called bonding ceremonies. One human male would marry one of their females to seal the alliance between worlds. Jake had volunteered without knowing what his bride would look like. The Zephyrians had refused to share any images or details about her. They said it was against their traditions. All he knew was her name, Lyra Vexithara, daughter of their High Commander. The ship landed at the capital spaceport with a gentle thud. Jake walked down the ramp wearing his best uniform, trying not to show his fear. Hundreds of Zephyrian citizens had gathered to watch this historic moment. Their skin was pale silver, almost glowing in the dim light of their twin suns. They had 4 arms and eyes that changed color with their emotions. A tall figure approached him. This was Commander Veltar, Lyra's father. His eyes were deep purple, which Jake had learned meant he was curious but cautious. "Human Jake Miller," the commander said in perfect English. "You honor our family by accepting this bond. My daughter waits for you at the sacred temple." Jake nodded and followed the commander through the crowded streets. The buildings were made of some kind of crystal that sang softly in the wind. Everything was beautiful but alien. He wondered what Lyra would think of him. Would she find humans as strange as he found her people? They reached a massive temple carved from black stone. Inside, hundreds of Zephyrians sat in rows, their eyes glowing with excitement. At the front of the temple stood a figure in flowing white robes. Jake could not see her face through the ceremonial veil. The wedding ceremony was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. The priest spoke in the ancient Zephyrian language while lights danced around them. Jake and Lyra had to touch their hands together while blue energy flowed between them. He felt a strange warmth spread through his body. When the ceremony ended, Lyra finally lifted her veil. Jake gasped. She was the most beautiful being he had ever seen. Her silver skin seemed to glow from within. Her eyes were bright gold, and when she smiled, he saw that her teeth were like small pearls. But what shocked him most was how human she looked despite her alien features. "Hello, Jake Miller," she said softly. Her voice was like music. "I am pleased to meet my new husband." They were taken to a private chamber in the royal palace for their first night together. Jake was nervous. He had expected to feel awkward or scared, but instead he felt drawn to her in a way he could not explain. Lyra seemed to sense his feelings. She sat beside him on the edge of the large bed and took his hand in 2 of her 4 hands. "I know this is strange for you," she said. "It is strange for me too. My people usually know their partners for many cycles before bonding, but I have been watching your species for some time." Jake looked at her in surprise. "Watching us." Lyra's eyes changed to a soft blue color, which meant she was being honest and open. "Yes. When our scouts first found Earth, I was part of the research team. I studied human culture, human emotions, human relationships. I volunteered for this bonding because I wanted to know if the connection I felt through my studies was real." She touched his face gently with one of her hands. Her skin was warm and soft. "What I learned about humans amazed me," she continued. "Your species loves so deeply. You sacrifice for others. You fight for what you believe in. You create beautiful art and music. You never give up even when facing impossible odds. This is why we call your species the Brave Hearts." Jake felt tears in his eyes. No one had ever described humanity that way before. "But what amazes me most," Lyra said, moving closer to him, "is how you can love someone you have never seen. You agreed to this bonding to save your people, knowing nothing about me. That kind of courage and trust is why I chose you, Jake Miller." That night they talked until the twin suns rose. Jake learned that Lyra was a scientist and an artist. She painted scenes of distant worlds and studied the mysteries of space. She had never been in love before, but she said she had dreamed of finding someone who could understand both her scientific mind and her creative heart. Jake told her about Earth, about his job as a space pilot, about his love of old movies and good food. He told her about his fears and his dreams. To his surprise, she understood everything he said. As the suns came up, Lyra showed Jake something that took his breath away. She led him to a balcony that looked out over the city. Then she began to sing. Her voice was like nothing he had ever heard. It was beautiful and alien, but somehow it spoke directly to his heart. "This is the song of new beginnings," she explained when she finished. "I wrote it for you, for us, for what we might become together." Jake realized that he was falling in love with this amazing woman, not just because she was beautiful, but because of who she was inside. She was brave and kind and brilliant. She saw the best in his people when they could not always see it in themselves. "Lyra," he said, taking her hand. "I know this started as a political arrangement, but I think it could become something real." Her eyes turned bright gold again and she smiled. "I was hoping you would say that. I have already begun to love you, Jake Miller. Not because I was ordered to, but because of the man you are." They kissed as the twin suns painted the sky in colors Jake had never seen before. It was the beginning of something neither of them had expected. A love that would unite not just two people, but two worlds. In the days that followed, Jake and Lyra became the symbol of the new alliance between Earth and the Zephyrian Empire. But more than that, they became partners in the truest sense. They explored the galaxy together, sharing their different perspectives and learning from each other. Jake never regretted his decision to marry a woman he had never seen, because in the end, he had not just gained a wife. He had found his perfect match among the stars.